Africa is the youngest continent in the world, with a median age of 19.8 years, and 65% of the population are under the age of 25, with a third of all youth expected to live in Africa by 2050. Yet, young Africans face far-reaching problems, including unemployment, lack of access to finance and financial aid, barriers to scale for small businesses, and tensions arising from intra-regional and international migration. However, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement seems to have come to the rescue. AfCFTA has been said to offer employment and entrepreneurship opportunities for youth, but analysts say policymakers and development organizations must take steps to ensure the agreement reaches its full potential.
Africa's large and fast-growing youth population is considered one of its greatest assets, with a central role to play in shaping the development of the continent. Good enough, economic experts say the African Continental Free Trade Area has what it takes to tackle these challenges by creating more jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities for young men and women. To discuss this is Olubunmi Abejirin from the AIESEC, and she joins us now.
Olubunmi Abejirin is the President, AIESEC Alumni Nigeria. AIESEC is an international youth-run, non-governmental and not-for-profit organization that provides young people with leadership development, cross-cultural internships, and global volunteer exchange experiences. You're welcome to the studio, Olubunmi.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you. I mean, all these speak to the potential, and one of the key things that the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said is that if we get it right, how do you think that the youthful population of Nigeria can plug into this brilliant idea that is meant to bring the whole of Africa together in a free, trade area together?
Thank you very much for that question. Africa is the youngest continent, as you have said. But let's bring it home to Nigeria. The Nigerian youth have shown grit, determination, and leadership in different aspects of world economy. Entertainment, for example. Look at technology, blockchain, tech, agri-tech, and even, fintech. We have shown leadership even in the knowledge economy outside Nigeria, in the diaspora. Let's bring it home. It is the youth that are going to be leading with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. If we are not equipped, if we are not ready to lead it, we will not make headway with it, because in the next 20, 50 years, it is these youths that are 63% of Nigerian population that are under 25 that will be manning the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement area. So it is time that we put our youth forward, get them to know that it is their right and it is their power to take over and take leadership. So Nigerians, get set. As a giant of Africa, we're ready to lead.
Well, I mean, it definitely is a good thing on its face. The deal does have a lot of positive intentions. Aside from galvanizing the youth and making sure that we're able to reap the benefits of the natural human resources we have on this continent, in this country, there's also a drive to model a form of unity across the African countries. However, the agreement can be seen by some people as being more of a curse than a blessing, most especially countries who rely on the funds they have from their tariffs. So if you remove those tariffs with this free trade area, it means perhaps a different set of scenarios for countries who have been used to relying on that money. Do you think the positives from the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement outweigh the negatives?
Thank you very much for that question. Let me just expound again why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area was created. Right now, we have all 54 countries as signatories of the AfCFTA, Africa Free Continental Trade Area.
It gets a bit confusing, doesn't it? It does.
We have all 54 countries as signatories, and we have 39 countries who have submitted their instruments of ratification. The objective, the broad objective, was to liberalize trade and create free movement of goods and services in a borderless manner. It was also to create a common customs, clearing, customs clearing. It was also meant to create cross-cultural integration and to create more markets across the African continent instead of depending on our colonial economic structures. So if all 54 and 1.3 billion people start trading together instead of taking that money outside, I think the positives will outweigh the negatives in the sense that with free access, free movement of people, free access to capital across borders to be able to scale up production and scale up small-scale industries, scale up education, scale up technology to leapfrog into the future. I do not see anything but the positives. However, we need to engage not only the public sector, the organized private sector, and civil organizations to take part and take a front role in making sure that this vision and the letters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area are executed and implemented to the root, or else we will be paying lip service to this laudable organization.
Very well said. Now, like you've just said, the African population was estimated at 1.3 billion in 2020, of which over 250 million are the youth. And it is estimated about 10 million to 12 million are entering the workforce every year, but only 3.1 million of them find jobs. Now, you run this organization that provides young people with leadership development. What would you say is the key to closing this gap? And talk to us about the cross-cultural internship and global volunteer exchange program the organization runs.
Thank you very much. AIESEC was established in 1948 to enhance world peace after the World War, and it got into Nigeria as far back as 1961. AIESEC has its core values in international youth volunteer internship and exchanges, leadership programs, as well as management training programs. These core values, we believe, is going to equip every youth that has gone through this organization to take leadership roles. AIESEC Alumni in Nigeria is made up of people who graduated from Nigerian universities as members of AIESEC. Currently, we're about 10,000 strong within and outside. We're more than 10,000 strong within and outside Nigeria in the diaspora. And we are taking leadership positions because of the training, the values that has been imbibed in us through AIESEC. Internships are done to help us understand and come back and integrate, debrief, and be the best we can be in terms of best practices. Because whenever you go somewhere else, you learn new things, and we learn them every day. So AIESEC as an organization is the largest youth-run management organization in the world. We even had a permanent seat in the United Nations as an observer body. So let me come back to the question about how this will impact. There is a knowledge economy that needs to be filled. And that knowledge economy, once filled, will enhance critical thinking, hypothesizing, and even proffering solutions to the problems that face us in this country today. We believe that deep thinking, management, and leadership is the way forward.
Okay, I mean, that's great, very well said. But let me follow up with two questions that are somewhat related. One is to again come back to the assessment that you've started, about the African free trade area, and using the example of how AIESEC has been able to impact not only within Nigeria, but of course within the West African area. So tell me, why should, or shall I say, how should the African youth look forward to the African, free trade area if the ECOWAS part, for example, cannot be said to have done fantastically well? I wouldn't know what your experiences were being part of AIESEC, that is, as you said, the biggest youth-oriented movement, so to speak, in terms of business and economy in the world. So did you record successes in the ECOWAS region? And bear in mind how the European Union, was also able to carry its youth along, etc. So if we're talking African Free Trade, area agreement and everything, how much of success did we record in West Africa before we leapfrog into the African continent? And then secondly, which key areas do you think that the youth should begin to look at? You mentioned at the beginning the creative economy, entertainment, and tech. I've been reading lately about how tech has been very successful. OPay, for example, is a lot more bigger than many of the banks in Nigeria now. How should our youth engage the opportunities that are about to happen? Okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm so sorry. It pains me to interrupt you here, but we will go on a very short break, and when we come back, we'll give you the floor to answer that question. Please do stay with us.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News, and we are still on with Olubunmi Abejirin, who's sharing perspectives with us. You had the two questions that I asked Olubunmi regarding AIESEC and the role that the region has played. You might want to share your perspective now.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So ECOWAS, I wouldn't say did not achieve any successes. However, we had some limiting barriers, such as how do we centralize the central bank in West Africa? How do we monetize? How do we evaluate our multiple currencies? And border issues were also part of the barriers. I want to say that the African Continental Free Trade Area is rising up above what it was that the ECOWAS was unable to achieve by taking the lessons learned and applying it across the 54 countries in the continent. So I think whatever it is that ECOWAS was not able to fully achieve due to the limitations, our colonial structure being tied to our colonial aprons, I think with Africa Free Continental Trade Area, we will overcome this. And then as AIESECers, I believe the training, management training, the leadership training, and the fact that we are the largest youth-run organization has helped us imbibe the best practices to be able to lead in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And the Nigerian youth are meant to be at the forefront, bearing in mind that Nigeria and South Africa are the largest economy in the entire continent. Now, what is it that they should look forward to? We need to look forward to a very strong ideation knowledge economy to be able to leapfrog. We need to look forward to using technology to be able to leapfrog. We don't only want to copy and paste. We want to develop on what is already on ground. We do not have to reinvent the wheel at this point. Whatever it is in terms of fintech, in terms of blockchain technology, in terms of agri-tech, we have to just take what's on ground, run with it, and make it even better. That also brings me to the reason why we are discussing the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. This will be our major theme at the upcoming Dr. Omolayoli Management Lecture. This management lecture was conceived in 1984 as a way of appreciating Dr. Michael Omolayoli for his immense and unwavering support for AIESEC in Nigeria since 1961. Dr. Omolayoli was the first African to be on the AIESEC Board of Advisors internationally, and he was also the first African to speak at the AIESEC international conferences in 1978 and in Brussels and in New York in 1980, respectively. So why do we have the Omolayoli lectures? The Omolayoli lecture has held in Nigeria every year for the past 36 years. And this year, we'll be having the 37th Omolayoli lecture. And this theme, prospects for African youth at the African Free Trade Agreement area, is something that our keynote speaker will be expounding upon for us. If you ask me, why the Omolayoli lecture? Dr. Omolayoli believes that the management of the country is in the hands of the youth, and how better than to train them to be able to take their rightful place in leadership and management. So for the first 26 6 years, for the first 27 years of the Omolayoli lecture, AIESEC single-handedly hosted this lecture. But in 2013, Dr. Omolayoli saw it fit to enlist the support of the 4 organizations that he had once been head of, namely the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM, the Nigerian Employers Consultative Forum, Association, that is NECA, and last but not the least, Nigerian Institute of Management, NIM. In 2013, all these organizations came together to host the very first partnered Omolayoli lecture. And I'd like to say, for the past 8 years, these partners have been hosting the lecture rotationally without fail. So this year, it will be hosted by none other than LCCI, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in a hybrid event, of course, bearing in mind all non-pharmaceutical COVID-19 protocols. It's going to be on Zoom as well as physically at the Commerce House in Victoria Island. This year, we'll be having none other than the managing director and Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Industry, who incidentally is also an AIESECer. He's an AIESECer, and he was also the Africa Regional Coordinator for AIESEC in Africa. He also took part in the exchange program by having his internship in Norway. So we can see that we have been creating leaders right from the get-go. So he'll be expounding on the role of youth in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and bringing out ways for us to enlist our youth to take part in that. I must also add that the Omolayoli lectures have gone a step further to put together a compendium of the first 30 lectures. They are all in this book, the Omolayoli Management Series, Season 1, Series Volume 1, where all these things that has been facing the country, topical issues, have been talked about, dialogued, scrutinized, and recommendations made not only to the populace, but to the government and lawmakers. So lovely. I believe that this year, it will be a very good opportunity for us to gather around and see how we can take our place in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
Well, thank you. I mean, talking about opportunity, I'm sure we are all well aware of the role women play in this agreement. As it stands now, women constitute 70% of informal cross-border traders across Africa. However, they're also vulnerable to violence, to their goods being seized. There are lots of instances where women are empowered but still not powerful. So when you talk about the role of youths in this trade agreement, how do you think that youths can also leverage their position to make sure that women aren't left behind?
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that charity begins at home. I am the second female president of AIESEC Alumni Nigeria. That's to tell you that the tide is changing. Women are taking their rightful position. However, we need there to be strong willpower to implement the policies that actually guide and empower women. It's not enough to play lip service to it. All sectors of the economy, all public sectors, private sectors, and civil organizations must come together to make sure that the role of the woman who is ready to take her position in the economy. We have a lot of female farmers. We have a lot of female entrepreneurs. They are so tireless in providing not only for the families. And once you have an educated woman, you have an educated generation. So we should start from the scratch by making sure that the girl child is well educated. Not only well educated, she's given the management and leadership training to be able to take her position. And you'll be surprised that it not only affects the family, it affects the nation as a whole. Back to the policies. We have these policies on ground. They are on paper. How women are not to be violated. We have gender-based violation policies and the punishments that are meant to be met out to those who violate this. However, a very minuscule part of people who partake in crimes against women are actually brought to justice or actually made to face the consequences of their actions. So I would say action and inaction should no longer be tolerated. If you violate women or you do not protect the rights of women, it should not be tolerated. But if you even see that the rights of women are being violated, your inaction of not speaking up should no longer be tolerated. I believe women have what it takes to take their rightful position, because we are one side of the brain. So the men are the one side, the women are the other side. We can't have two lopsided halves of our head. So please, let us put our brains together, both men and women, and move things forward. Thank you.
Absolutely. I love that point you've just made. And I would like to know, does your organization run any type of women empowerment programs?
Yes, thank you for that. We have quite a number of partners that partner with AIESEC Alumni in Nigeria to empower women. I'd like to just bring one of them to bear. It's called the Boundless Hands. Boundless Hands is a non-governmental organization that is dedicated to alleviating the troubles of gender-based violence. That is just one. We partner with women organizations, even for stuff like low-income schools where girls do not go to school because they do not have sanitary wear whenever they start their periods. Because of lack of sanitary wear, lack of economic empowerment, they stay away from school. Sometimes they even don't go back to school. So AIESEC Alumni in Nigeria has been partnering in empowering women both economically, mentally, and socially, to empower them and make them take their rightful place.
Thank you very much, Olubunmi Abejirin, who's the president of AIESEC Alumni here in Nigeria. Thank you very much for what's been a very insightful conversation.